Welcome back to the Game Haus Overwatch League recap. Week 3 of Stage 3 has begun, so let's take a look at Night 1. The battle for Los Angeles has so far been an exciting event for the Overwatch League, and tonight's battle between the Gladiators and Valiant is no exception. The Gladiators were swift in taking point 1 during their attack run on map 1, and it looked as though they would take a swift point 2 as well. However, they were held off of point 2 in overtime, leaving the Valiant confident for their attack run. Unfortunately for the Valiant, they weren't able to take a single point, and the Gladiators went up 1-0. The second map was another close battle, with the Gladiators losing the last point in overtime. The Valiant didn't repeat their performance in the previous map, with Agilities helping lead them to a map victory, 3 points to 2. The Valiant seemed to have found their stride. With their control performance in Leos as a reflection, they took both points A and B and started to make the Gladiators sweat. Junkertown needed to see a Gladiator breakthrough if they wanted to try and push for a map 5. They took all 3 points in their attack run, and the Gladiators' shields were up on defense, only allowing the Valiant 1 point. The game was tied 2-2. The tiebreaker map took the match to the very farthest it could go, with both teams picking up a point apiece. The last point on Oasis determined the early champion of Los Angeles for Stage 3, and it ended up being a sea of green, with the Valiant winning 3-2. The second match of the night was between the Dallas Fuel and the San Francisco Shock. The night started off rough for the Fuel on Anubis, as their attack run fell fruitless with no points to be had. The Shock used their strong defensive run to easily take 1 point on their attack, and started off an early lead. Blizzard World didn't look much different for the Fuel, save for the ability to take 1 point. The Shock took map 2 with another great defensive-offensive combo. Nepal saw a glimpse of a turnaround for the match, with the first 2 rounds providing some much-needed competition between the two teams. Both the Fuel and Shock managed to take a control point, and the battle for point C held some excitement. The result of the map was predictable. However, with the Shock having the extra edge and securing a match win. The Fuel made a valiant last effort in Junkertown, but ultimately their defeat was imminent. The Shock took the map and swept the match 4-0. The final map of the night was between the Shanghai Dragons and the Seoul Dynasty. The first map was on Volkskaya, and the Dragons were on attack first. They managed to take point 8 with some great teamwork, but were held off point B by the Dynasty's defensive line. The Dynasty used this to their advantage and pushed for a map 1 win fairly easily. The second map saw a similar offensive performance from the Dragons, with them grabbing 1 point and some change. The Dynasty took point A fairly easily. Map 3 was one for the history books. Both the Dragons and Dynasty took a point apiece on Ilios, and it came down to an intense point C that determined the fate of the map. The Dragons pulled out a huge win by taking point C, proving they had what it takes to start delivering. The Dragons' attack run on map 4 was just as intense as the previous round, with them barely missing a map completion. The Dynasty managed to hold the Dragons off the last point, and were able to surpass them on their attack run, taking the match 3-1. Week 3 proves things are going to stay interesting within the Overwatch League. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and join us as we keep recapping each night. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, and as always, from our house to yours, keep it here at the Game Haus for all your sports and esports needs.